Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, information sharing on social media. Faster, broader, but complicated. So how do you fight online disinformation? Leading United States expert on disinformation and audience behavior professor Stephanie Edgerly joins us live. And later, from the Idol stage to homecoming concerts.
I'm so excited to be performing November 10th at 8 o'clock here at the theater at Solaire.
How's life after her Idol journey?
The pretty girls in the world, but I'm in the space with you.
We catch up with American Idol Season 11 finalist Jessica Sanchez in the program. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. In this age of social media, everyone becomes a storyteller. Information spreads fast by the second, but how do we make sure that the information we share online is truthful? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have a leading U.S. expert on disinformation and audience behavior, Professor Stephanie Edgerly. Professor, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Philippines.
Thank you.
That's your first time here, huh?
Is.
And
yes.
You've been here, what, 14 hours?
Correct, yes.
All right, so it's the best time to be here. It's a holiday, but what will you be busy with beginning next week?
Yes, I'll be giving a series of lectures at, I think, something like 8 different universities in the area, talking with different media professionals, student journalists, all about the new media environment, how people are making sense of the news and what's true and what's not.
Very important sign of the times, right? This is really something we need to talk about. First, I wanted to ask you this, though. You're an expert in disinformation and audience behavior. What is the difference between disinformation and misinformation?
It's such a good question. And a lot of academics really think that when we call something fake news, we do a disservice because it means so many different things. So we have started to use these concepts or these labels of misinformation and disinformation to separate two really important phenomenons. And misinformation is when inaccuracies or falsities are spread, but unintentionally, right? So you didn't realize you were spreading something that was wrong, or maybe a journalist didn't verify something and they kind of got duped, but they did not mean to mislead the public. They did not mean to share something that was incorrect on Facebook, let's say. Disinformation, that is the purposeful, the intentional sharing or spreading of inaccurate information or falsities to try to mislead the public, to confuse the public, or for commercial gain.
Disinformation would be intentional. Misinformation is not intentional. It's something that we do as mistakes. Something that was a mistake. Yeah, all right. So, okay, thank you for that. Now I understand it better. Is there any statistic or data that you can share with us with regard to possibly disinformation, not misinformation, disinformation in any country or the world? How big is it?
I think it's really tough to quantify because maybe the easiest way to do it is to ask people, how often have you encountered this type of information? But for obvious reasons, we, the public, are not necessarily accurate in our identification of when we have encountered this type of information.
Because so we can be disinformed as well, or misinformed as well. All right.
We have our own biases that make us not completely objective as a public. And so survey estimates suggest that something like 40% of the U.S. public say that they have encountered inaccurate information. I think researchers are trying to figure out, you know, by looking at and identifying pieces of information. During the 2016 election in the U.S., our best kind of estimate is the average American saw 1 to 3 disinformation stories.
I see. So you were saying that 40% of Americans have experienced some sort of dis or misinformation in their life.
They say they have.
Yeah.
Well, online.
Do you think that's a small number? Do you think that's an accurate number?
I think it has issues with self-report. I think particularly in the U.S., this phenomenon that I've seen in my research is that we have a tendency to think something is fake when it disagrees with us. So
it's the behavior, it becomes subjective.
Correct. So when you're dealing with survey research, one of the things you always have to ask yourself is how much of this is a subjective, inaccurate assessment of what we are doing. And so ideally, as researchers, you want to combine that with some sort of actual content analysis of content you've identified as being disinformation and you've seen how it's spread through the news media or through Twitter or Facebook.
But if it's subjective, how does disinformation eventually affect the behavior of the audiences?
Yeah, and there's a couple different outcomes that we worry about with disinformation. I think the one I get asked about the most often is voting. And I think that's a very important outcome. I think also the outcome that gets a lot of attention are these very scandalous, very extreme behaviors where somebody brings a gun to a pizza parlor because they think Hillary Clinton is leading a child pornography ring. But I think there are a lot of intermediate outcomes that are also very worrisome that don't necessarily relate to voting or bringing a gun to a pizza parlor. Being confused, I think, is a common outcome from experiencing or seeing or encountering disinformation, or even demobilizing. So a lot of what we saw in the 2016 election wasn't necessarily convincing people to change their vote. It was confusing people enough so they sat out and they did not vote.
And that's good enough, right?
In
I mean,
some
obviously,
cases,
it can obviously change the tide from one thing to another. How vulnerable do you think a nation or an audience would be in accepting, understanding information or disinformation?
Right.
How easily are we swayed one way or another?
Yeah, I think this media environment that we're living in has really exacerbated people who are not easily swayed and know how to navigate this media environment quite well. And I think there's a lot of benefits from this media environment that allow people to really engage with information or find a lot of quality information that they want and enjoy reading. I think at the same time, a lot of people really struggle with knowing what's true and who can I trust. And I think there's more of a inequality that's happening. People that are not susceptible and have access like they never have before to high quality information, and then there's a large percent of people that really struggle with understanding what's quality and where can they go to trust.
And it's really social media that has fostered this type of information, whether it's facts, misinformation, or disinformation.
Yeah, I think social media are tricky places because it's where we can consume news, but it's also where we don't have our sensors up a lot. It's where we go for entertainment. It's where we talk with our family or we look at beautiful photos of celebrities. And so I don't think we're always looking to critically analyze the pieces of information that come across our news.
And we don't become very responsible. I guess you said it right, because sometimes it's a medium for even chatting. Having a chat with your family, so it becomes a very casual conversation, and hence at some point when you read something, you kind of want to share it immediately, so you're the first one to share that piece of information without even finding out if it's true or not.
Yeah, there's this tendency of you are what you share, right? And so what we share is very much how we want to project our identities. And for some of us, our identity is to share that scandalous, interesting, provocative piece of information, because that's how we want people to see us.
So it reflects on the kind of personality we have?
A lot of research is saying, what the types of things you share are
who you are.
And that's why some people are a little more judicious and a little slower because they don't want to share something that might actually be incorrect later. Others of us are more on that front lines of wanting to share immediately something we think everybody's going to want to click on and comment on.
And why is that? Because we want to be first?
Some people do, I think. And some people are comfortable with not being first, but being correct.
Being responsible.
Yes.
I guess that's also key. You need to be responsible. Which social media platform, though, would, if there's anything, information or data on this, that distributes the most disinformation? Would it be Twitter, Facebook, YouTube?
You know, it's hard to tell because the scale of Facebook is still so big, right? So I think although Facebook has more than Twitter over the last couple years, there's been a decrease in the amount of disinformation, that blatantly false information that's circulating on Facebook. We've seen a decrease in that. Research has shown that some of the changes Facebook has made does seem to be working. However, the scale of Facebook is so much larger. There's more people on Facebook than there are on Twitter or on YouTube, on Instagram. And so in terms of raw numbers, the volume of information is still a much bigger deal on Facebook.
Are you content or satisfied so far with the measures that Facebook has implemented to kind of like stem disinformation?
I think it's a start. I think there's a lot of work still left to be done, but I'm not naive in thinking that Facebook is only responsible for it. Okay. I think that we all kind of play a role. Citizens play a role, politicians play a role, journalists play a role, technology companies also play a role.
You know, it's really important you said that, because really the responsibility lies on each and every one of us. The kind of news that we read and the kind of news that we spread is really also definitely our responsibility. So what would you suggest to people who read the news, any type of news? What should they do? What are the steps to counter any disinformation that we may be reading?
Yeah, I think I try to tell people whenever you're on a social media platform, you should always be a little more skeptical. You should be paying attention to the sources, right? And I think that's some of the problem on these social media sites, is that different sources are presented exactly identical, right? So something that's coming from the New York Times or Breitbart kind of has the same real estate on Facebook. So take a look at the source.
Right.
And then once you are kind of reading a headline, be wary of anything that has overt punctuation or is super sensational, like you won't believe this crazy story. And then I think we have to fight our human nature a little bit. Anything that plays to our emotions or we are inclined to automatically agree with or disagree with, I think we have to ask ourselves that like 2-second question of like, well, has this piece done the work for me to believe it, or do I want to believe it because it reaffirms my viewpoints or my identities?
So it's really being more critical, especially on social media.
Correct.
All right. Professor, would you like, I know that you will be speaking to a number of universities. So this will happen next week, Monday. What is it like, 2 lectures in a day?
Yes. Yeah, they're keeping me very busy.
I guess before you go, I wanted to, what is it about the Filipino people you know so far that you may have to kind of like adapt to the kind of audience you'll be facing by next week? Is there anything special about Filipinos that you know about prior to speaking to them?
I'm really interested in learning more about Facebook and Facebook use and reliance on Facebook, particularly among young people, where social media plays such a big role in how they receive information.
All right. Thank you, Professor Stephanie Edgerly, and we wish you luck, and I hope you enjoy your time here in the Philippines. Thank you. And this is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, be mesmerized with her powerful voice. American Idol Season 11 first runner-up, Jessica Sanchez, joins us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Filipinos have witnessed her amazing idol journey in 2012. And from then on, her name will always be remembered as someone who showed world-class Filipino talent in the highly competitive idol stage. She may not have won the idol title, but she will always be winning the hearts of Filipinos here and abroad. What's life after American Idol? Let's go straight to the source of the story, American Idol Season 11, first runner-up, the winner to us, Jessica Sanchez. Hi, Jessica. Welcome back to the Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was 7 years ago?
Yeah, I know. It's been a minute. Yeah, I was 16 years old. I was pretty young.
Yeah, and you are
23 now.
Right
yeah,
now. How are
lady.
you? How's it? I mean, tell me what it's been like, your journey 7 years ago, fast forward to today.
How's it been?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been crazy. Lots of different opportunities because of Idol, and it's been crazy. I did Glee right after Idol. I sang for the president a few times, President Obama, and I've just been able to travel internationally and sing for the Filipinos all around the world. So it's been amazing, and I just want to thank all the Filipinos for supporting me during that journey, and I love you guys so much, and I'm definitely representing.
Yeah, so you've been traveling a lot for concerts, right? You were
Yeah.
saying that. I mean, in a year, how many times would you be traveling?
Oh, it always varies, but we try to travel as much as possible, and it always takes me either, sometimes domestic, in the U.S.,
Yeah.
or sometimes just internationally in the most random places. So
Yeah.
so it's fun. It's like spontaneous, crazy.
But is your schedule, how do they call it, crazy busy or busy crazy?
It depends. Some seasons are like, okay, we get to chill at home and relax,
That's
and then
cool,
other
yeah.
seasons it's like nonstop working. So it's like the best of both worlds at times.
Okay, so I wanna, do you often look back at that time, 7 years ago when you made it? Remember, of course, we all remember, you didn't make it, and then they brought you back, and then you became first runner-up. Is that something that's still fresh in your mind? Do you often still look back and think about that?
Yeah, sometimes, it kind of is like, it pops up in a lot of questions. A lot of people ask me, how was it? How was it? How was it? So
Like
I get,
me?
I get asked that question so many times, so it's hard to forget, But it is crazy to think about that time. I was 16 years old, and I could have never, imagined being that far, making it that far.
I'm going to change that question. I'll revise it. Knowing what you know now, what would you have changed competing back then at 16 years old?
I don't think anything.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that was like an amazing experience, and I love the way it went. I was super stressed the whole time, but I was like a young girl that was just so hungry, for the music industry, and it was just such a blessing to me. And I just felt so honored to be a part of the show and to make it as far as I did.
Yeah.
Every single round I cried. I was like, oh my gosh, I made it through. So I love the experience. I love the feelings that that I felt. So I don't think I'd change a thing.
What's your favorite Idol song?
That I sang? I don't know. I love the song "Stuttering." A lot of people didn't know that song, but
What was that like? I mean, can you give us a sample of that? Stuttering?
Stuttering.
I get to hear that. She's right in front of me.
Something and it feels so strange. That song.
Okay,
Yeah. I sang it on a piano. Yeah, I was sitting on a piano with like a sparkly dress.
Yeah.
That was actually the round that I almost got eliminated.
that?
The save.
Oh, and that ends up to be one of your favorite songs.
Yeah.
What an irony.
No,
huh?
yeah, because a lot of people didn't know that song,
Yeah.
but it was by one of my favorite artists. And I just was like, I don't care if anybody knows the song. I just wanna
That's
sing
what I
it.
wanted to ask you. How difficult would it be to think of a piece that is not popular to the public, and yet it's something that you really want to do a version of that you feel so passionate about?
I felt like so blessed and honored to make it that far already that I was like, okay, I'm gonna just sing what I want to sing. Like, I'm here on this platform, and I love the artist, and I feel like she doesn't get enough recognition, So I'm like, I'm just gonna sing this song, and hopefully people will fall in love with the song and go download the original version. And actually, like, that song went to #1 on the R&B charts right after.
There you go.
So I was like, yes.
Bro.
I almost got eliminated, but I was like, I don't care. Like, I made it so far already. At least I get to go on tour.
Really? Was that also in your head that you
Yeah.
weren't caring so much anymore because you made it that far?
I honestly didn't think I was even gonna make it past the Hollywood rounds. I was just like praying that I at least got maybe say hi in the background during Hollywood Week or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard. There's a lot of talented artists on there. So yeah, I was really lucky.
Yeah,
and
you
blessed.
have to have, I don't know, is it, of course the talent, but do you also believe it's timing? If it's
course.
meant for you, it's really going to happen?
Of course, yeah. I feel like it's always, kind of on God's timing, and also like the stars have to align and everything, It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Totally agree with that one.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the upcoming franchise of American Idol here in the Philippines?
I'm so excited. excited. Yeah, I found out that Regina's going to be a judge, and I'm super excited to watch it and to see her judge and see the contestants and just see how they set up Idol out here.
Yeah. And Regina's what to you, Regine Velasquez?
She's an amazing artist. I listened to her when I was a lot younger, and I fell in love with her voice. So I'm super excited to see her, judge and help, these young up-and-coming artists, polish up on their careers and on their voices and stuff like that. They can learn a lot from her, which is amazing. And like I said, I'm just really excited to see the way that they set up Idol.
The Filipino version.
Yeah, and everybody here can sing, so like
everybody's
I'm excited to see all the freaking beasts come out.
let's hear these people. What's your favorite Regine Velasquez song?
I actually love her version of Ikaw.
Okay.
I sing that song all the time.
I'm gonna hear it.
Yeah.
Before we go on a break, I'm gonna make you give us a sample of that song, Ikaw. All right, so we'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines, but first, you gotta hear this.
Ikaw ang bigay, nagmay kapal, tugon sa aking dasal, upang sa lahat ng panahon, bawat pagkakataon, ang ibigin ko'y ikaw.
We'll be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, American Idol Season 11 finalist, Jessica Sanchez. So you have a concert coming up. Tell us more about it. I know that Martin will be there as well. Martin Rivera.
Super excited. He's a really good friend of mine. He's super funny, super talented. So I'm super excited I get to share the stage with him and maybe even do a duet or two.
Really? With Martin?
Maybe.
Wow.
You gotta come to find out. But it's actually at the Solaire. It's November 10th, and you can get your tickets on Ticket World. And yeah, I'm just super excited.
Well, is it just one night?
It's just one night.
Why is it that you just come for one night? What's wrong with you?
Next time I got to do like a whole week, right?
Well, I mean, 2 nights at least.
Right? Next time, but yeah, this is one night, and then I'll be, with Martin Rivera, and I'm very excited for it. So, and it's at the Solaire, beautiful venue.
But wait a minute. So, what can we expect? I mean, I was saying a while ago, Jessica's in front of me, and I was hearing her sing, and it felt so different. I like the theater at Solaire because it's very, it seems very compact over there. What's to expect from your concert this time around?
Okay.
R&B, right? Okay.
Kind of, yeah. I want to sing, a couple of my songs, of course, but I also kind of want to bring it back, to the Idol days. So you'll hear some throwback stuff. Yeah, I'll get you guys to reminisce on those days. Yeah. And then also, Martin's gonna throw in his flavor in there too. So I'm super excited to see what he has to bring to the stage.
That's going to be super exciting.
It's going to be so much fun.
Filipino songs? Will you be singing a few?
I definitely have to, bring out a Filipino song for you guys.
Is it hard?
Since I'm here in the Philippines.
Is it hard for you?
I don't know a lot of Tagalog, so it is kind of challenging, but I learn everything by ear. So I never had any vocal lessons. I just picked up everything by listening.
What? So you listen to a Filipino song and you're able to sing it just by listening to it. You don't even look at the lyrics?
No. I do read the lyrics. Yeah, I have to read the lyrics, but yeah, I just listen. And I get, my grandma's advice, say, am I singing this right? But most of the time, I just listen by ear, and that's how I pick it up.
Yeah, and the pronunciation. Do you ask about that? Am I pronouncing this right?
I got to make sure I'm not sounding crazy.
Yeah. And that you're pronouncing it properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Was there a Filipino word that was so hard for you to pronounce?
I think there's a couple right now because I'm still learning the language, but I'm definitely excited to be, singing that, here in the Philippines, a Tagalog song, and then also learning the language more.
Okay, so another thing is, you're known to have such a big voice. Where does that come out of this sexy body of yours?
I don't know.
Where do you keep it? Where do you keep it in that body of yours?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I've been singing since I was a little girl, and it went from singing Disney songs to Whitney Houston songs, real quick, So I think it's just me kind of exercising that vocal muscle for all those years. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know.
But you knew you were talented when you were young. I mean, you saw that.
Yeah, my family did. My family really supported me.
They're like, oh,
Yeah, so they pushed me into like a lot of local competitions, and I was super young. Yeah.
Okay, so the concert again. Maybe you want to invite them another time, Jessica, please.
Yeah, you guys should come out to my concert with my special guest Martin Rivera at the Soler Theater, November 10th. I hope to see you guys there. It's going to be lots of fun. Love you guys. Get the tickets at Ticket World. Yeah, see you there. Love
November 10, and we're excited for that, Jessica. Welcome back to the Philippines, and we wish you well. I'm sure you're going to rock that Soler Theater. And before you go, give us just a quick sample of one song that we can expect in the concert. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Something,
I think so, yeah.
maybe one of your favorites in the concert.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to sing the one that first came up to mind again.
Okay, but wait. So I'm just going to say goodbye first. Okay. And I'm going to say thank you again. So good to have you. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines. Now, here's Jessica Sanchez to give us a peek of her upcoming concert. Okay.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way, so I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way.